The Department of Protective Services can't stop this, and we need your help.
Desperately holding on.
Mama left us without warning.
I want to love like Mama did.
Adoption? How we gonna do this with all we got already going on?
I know that Josh, Rebekah, and Nika as well, you all have connections to the adoption journey and the foster care system. Can you talk a little bit about your origins with the story kind of behind the story of this? I'll start with you two first, Josh and Rebekah.
Rebekah and I adopted 2 of our kids out of the foster system, and so this is something, in fact, I go way back when I was younger. I remember thinking one day I would adopt, and then when we got married, we planned on doing it. At some point, it just felt like, when am I going to do this? And it's kind of one of those things that never really feels like exactly the right time, and so we just thought, we need to do this. It's important to us, and so we went for it, and long story short, we brought in 2 amazing kids into our family. And a number of years later, we came across this story, and maybe you take it from there and how we kind of launched into this.
We learned about this story because, as Josh said, that we are foster adoptive parents, and I started working in Los Angeles with the child welfare system, and here in Los Angeles we have the largest crisis in the entire country. And I came across this story with Bishop Martin, and I was like, wow, that's what we need to see happen across this country. We need to see more people stepping in and caring for kids like this. And so I started bringing him out to Los Angeles and having him speak at different events and churches and really rallying people to get involved. And I saw the power of the story, and I said to Josh, I really think we need to bring this story to the world.
So my mom and my 3 uncles are actually adopted by a pastor and his wife. My mom's mom was murdered when she was about 3 or 4 years old, and she went into the foster care system. And initially, the pastor wife wanted a little girl, but the judge said, I think, if you take one, you got to take all 3. They didn't want to break them up, so she ended up adopting all 4 of them. So, and my mom did read the script. She read the script after I read it, and her whole thing was like, this is your movie. You're gonna book this. I'm like, slow down. Slow down. So yeah, that's my experience with foster care.
Demetrius, before you embarked on this project, the movie is really looking at misconceptions with foster kids and the adoption process. What was your prior experience before embarking on this?
I hadn't had direct experience with the foster care system. I was adopted, in essence, by the Bethel family. I had the chance to meet my biological father when I was 22 years old. As a kid coming up, I identified with a lot of the children that we highlight the story of in this film. So I was fortunate to have source material of my own experience, being taken in by my father, the man I knew as my father, Gary Bethel. But it gave me a great starting point with which to connect with Bishop W.C. Martin and the Story of Possum Trot.
Exactly. You're adapting real events. It's like anything. I know that there are concessions and things you have to change as the story unfolds. What was the biggest challenge for you two in adapting a true story for a cinematic medium?
Yeah, this was attempted a few times actually by some different companies, and it all starts with the same problem. You've got 22 families, and you have 77 kids, and that's the problem right there. So how are you going to get this story and all its magnitude and all the reasons why it's moving us? It's moving when anyone does it and adopts, but what makes it special is this whole community, and so that was the issue, is like how can we get this to work in a couple of hours and do it justice and really bring people through that process in a way that feels right. You're locking into a story emotionally, and you're going on a journey with just a few people so that you can really be affected properly. And so it took a lot of honing, just a lot of trial and error, and a lot of things are on the digital editing floor to make that work.
And I'll just say too, we actually moved our family to DB's, Texas to tell this story. So we'd been in Los Angeles for 24 years, and we just really wanted to make sure that we did this story justice, and we really captured it authentically. And so we got up and moved our family across the country and just started going to church at Bennett Chapel and started just worshiping with them and getting to know them and getting to know all the characters. And it really helped the story go to a much deeper level. And they're very pleased and very happy with it.
Demetrius, you and Nika have some intense moments throughout this movie. For both of you, I mean, were there specific sequences that you remember drawing on past experience just in any way, shape, or form to do some of those really tough scenes?
We, very early on, right from the start, got into prayer. We got a chance to sweat in praise with these salt of the earth people, so that when it came time to imbue the spirituality and the authenticity of that within the film, that those instruments were finely tuned by having a real spiritual connection to a story that is produced by and prospered by the faith that all of us and all of our audience members bring to it to make it come to pass. And Nika was amazing. Yeah.
So are you, Demetrius.
Thank you.
You both are. You both are.
Thank you.
Nika, what about you? How did you work with the real figures? What was balancing the acting with wanting to stay true to the real people?
Yeah, I was scared. I'm not gonna lie. When I met First Lady Donna, she just had such a beautiful spirit. And my biggest thing when you're playing real life people, you're like, I don't look like her. I'm tall. She's kind of short. We don't look the same, don't have the same complexion. And then that started kind of clouding my vision. And then I said, okay, it's not about that. It's about the essence. So hanging out with her, getting to know her, she was sending me texts, pictures. I'm like, send me everything you got, videos of her singing. I used that to kind of my starting point. And then I also talked with my mom, who was literally living this story, like she lived this story. She was adopted by a pastor and his wife. So my mom gave me some insight, and I just really just let go of all of my inhibitions and just allow God to use me in that moment. And I talked with her the other day, and she just was like, girl, you did that. So that was, to me, I'm like, as long as she's happy, I'm happy.
Well, to go off of that, I mean, Josh, Rebekah, when you guys are writing and looking for a leading lady, especially based off a real person, what were you looking for at the beginning, and what was the moment when you saw Nika and you were like, she's it?
Really quick summary of one of our biggest challenges that we had in this film. So we knew we were going to spend a lot of money on this. It was a big story, lots of characters, lots of kids and animals and all kinds of things. And so, you approach it as a producer trying to do what you do. How are we going to back this money up? And you're listening to everybody and trying to make the best fiscal decisions that you can. And that's what we did. We just kept trying to find all those little parts. But in your heart of hearts, you're going, is this the right thing to do? And our first two leads, it wasn't the right fit. And we find this out, like day one, production starts, and some things happen, and it's like, this isn't the right fit. And here we are. We just started production. It's all come to this. And so you just go with it. You think, let's figure it out. You do your best, and you wrestle through it. And that cast wrestled through it with us, and at some point we just realized this is not really right for it. And there was just mutual agreement that we needed to kind of like reboot. So that's really scary as the producers, because that means a lot of money. Everything we'd filmed, wasn't going to be used anymore. So we circled the wagons and just figured out, what do we do? And we knew immediately, well, we had this amazing cast. We already had seen auditions. We knew what they could do, and it was really more of a decision of, this is exactly the right cast. Wish we'd done this in the first place. So, Nika took off in a supporting role and landed in the lead, and where she ought to have been from the beginning. So it was such a relief to know we have what we need. And then it immediately became apparent. As soon as we did this, it was like, oh man, we're in the groove. They're embodying this in such a perfect way. And I don't even know if I should say I'm proud of you guys. I'm impressed. I am so impressed with you and what you did, the depths and the heights that you guys took this to, and you just really captured them. So that's the brief explanation of how we got to that.
We learned some hard lessons in this process. It's our first feature. And, I think like Nika and Demetrius captured the heart of what we were hoping for, like from the beginning. And, I just want to thank you guys for trusting us and for, just what they brought. I mean, it was so authentic. It was so real. And it's like they captured the heart of this story, and they captured the heart of Bishop Martin and Donna Martin. And, we're so proud. So thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Well, everybody, the movie comes out July 4th, Sound of Hope, The Story of Possum Trot. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking to me about it. I appreciate it. We'll do a round of applause for all these awesome people.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.